Tariq Ramadan is here. He is Professor of Contemporary Islamic Studies at St. Anthony's College at Oxford University. He's considered to be one of Europe's most prominent scholars on Islam. The Washington Post called him a Muslim Martin Luther. Born in Switzerland to Egyptian parents, he's a grandson of the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, Hassan al-Banna. In 2004, he was banned from traveling to the United States under provision of the Patriot Act. That ban was lifted early this year. He has written more than 20 books about Islam and its integration. His new book is called The Quest for Meaning. It is about a philosophy of pluralism. At a time when questions about Islam in America are being hotly debated, I am pleased to have Tariq Ramadan with me here in London. Welcome.
Thank you.
This idea of the burning at a church of the Quran has what implications? Because David Petraeus has spoken out forcefully against it.
I think he's right. When you know the Islamic world and what is going in the Islamic majority countries today, and this perception that anything which is coming from the West, and especially from the States, could be perceived as a provocation. And in fact, it is a provocation. And the Terry Jones, who is promoting this from his church in Florida, is just trying to target Islam and Muslims, and he did it before with a book. So I would say that the American Muslims and the Western Muslims are not going to react to this. I think that they saw in the recent past that they know, what freedom of expression means, and they know also the meaning of a provocation. But this could be instrumentalized in Muslim majority countries by groups and even, population saying, look, this is, now it's too much. You did it with the
You see somebody
cartoon.
in America burning the Quran, you don't know who's doing it, you just know it's happening.
Exactly, which is exactly what could be done, and it could be instrumentalized by trends and Muslims and saying, look, this is a gain, and even by governments, because with the cartoon issues, we had governments directing the attention of the people towards the West. When they are not, promoting democracy and democratization within, it's very easy to push this emotional trend towards or against the West, and the impact of this could be just a catastrophe.
What about building this, some people think it's a mosque, cultural center near the site of 9/11?
I think, first, as a question of right, this should be allowed, because this is the right of any citizen in this community center, which is not the Ground Zero Mosque, as it was said. It's just a community center near the place. Now, I also think that the Muslims, when they deal with such issues, they have to take into account the sensitivity of the society. So it might be a bad, good idea. Now, it's a question of right, and it's a question of living together in the future, not only in a peaceful way, but to live together and to promote a better understanding. I know that the people who are behind the community center, and I know the people who are trying to promote its presence there, and I think it's good. They will do a good job. But they also have to take into account this. So I think, it's always a balance between your rights and the collective sensitivity, the collective psychology, and not to let any party, any political trend, any populist or any fundamentalist Christian group using this to nurture this fear within the society. So,
how do you do that?
So this is where you have to communicate. This is where you have to be part of the society. I think that the American Muslims should now be quite clear that they are not involved in the American life only when it comes to Islamic issues. They are citizens. They should be involved in everything which has to do with the future of this society, and to build bridges with people at the grassroots level. I was calling in the book what I believe. I say the future is national movements of local initiatives where you work together. And look at what happened in New York. You had Jewish representatives, Christian representatives coming and saying, it should be respected. We have to work together. So with this leadership, we can do something. And this is where we have to change the understanding of the people, to know more about Islam. I'm invited to so many lectures and conferences. 95% of what I have to say is always to explain what Islam is not. It's not violence, not this, it's not that, but to speak about my spirituality, the meaning of my life, the values, how much we have in common with Christianity and Judaism. This is what we have to talk about, and not only about the problems.
Okay, tell me what Islam is and what Islam is not.
Okay, what Islam is, first is a religion, which means that there is fundamental principles to believe in one God, and the oneness of God is quite important. Now, it's religion and a spirituality. Spirituality means that it gives to your life a meaning. To God you belong, and to God you will go back. So between belonging to Him and going back to Him, what you have to do is to try to get peace. Islam is all about salam. Salam is the Arabic word for peace. And everything I'm doing, struggling with my own self, my own ego, to get that inner peace is a jihad. So the jihad is exactly the opposite of what we are saying. It's not the way towards war, it's the way towards peace. To master, to control your inner tensions between the bad and the good, temptation that you have within yourself, an attraction towards the good, to get that peace. So this is Islam. So if I talk about Islam in such a way, you can find so many similarities with Christianity and Judaism. What Islam is not is a way to impose itself onto the other. There is no constraint or you cannot compulsion in matter of religion. La ikraha fi din, as we say in Arabic, coming from the Quran. You cannot impose this. So you have to respect the freedom, you have to respect the diversity of religions, and there is something which is quite important. There is an applied ethics, applied Islamic ethics, which has to do with respecting, for example, the life of the innocents. So ethics of war in Islam is completely opposed to what we had in the States, in New York, or what we have in London, in the streets by killing innocent people. Not only this is not Islamic, it's anti-Islamic, it's against my faith. So the first victims are the people who are killed. The second victims are the Muslims themselves. So I would say that this is what Islam is, and has nothing to do with this violence.
What responsibility, and I ask this carefully, does Islam have for allowing the perception to be?
Yes, I think it's a good question, and this is something which is the starting point of our accountability as Muslims. We may say Islam is not this and is not that. At the end of the day, the Muslims should speak out. They should speak out about their faith, not to be
and in condemnation of any acts that are taken in the name of the religion,
exactly.
When the religion, by its own definition, would be against that violent act.
Exactly. I think that this is their obligation and their duty. This is a moral duty. Speak out and say this is not Islamic, this is against Islam. And what Islam is a great religion, but Muslims are not acting in a great way. Very often they are doing things that are in contradiction with their religion. And they have to speak up. The only thing that I have, and this is a concern, you know, I was born in the West. I am dealing with Western media, I'm dealing with Western intellectuals. There is something which is quite problematic in the whole issue, is that we are condemning, but it's as if sometimes we are not heard. The only voices that are heard are the radical, violent, extremist voices. But when we come, the great majority of the Muslim scholars around the world, intellectuals, coming say, we condemn. It's not us. We are not for that. What we want is, you know, proactivity and to deal. It's as if we are not talking. It's as if there is a vicious circle just to listen to the voices that are confirming a perception. Why we need now, it's from the media, it's from the journalists, it's from the intellectuals, it's from the scholars to come together and to be able to say, okay, look, Islam is not that. It's not only the good and the bad. You know, it's not, we don't, you know, this binary vision that we had under colonization, the good are with us and the bad are against us. Right. Islam is as complex as Christianity.
It's not black and white, it's everything.
Not black and, if I was to define Christianity with what is done or is going to be done or claimed to be done in Florida, burning the Quran, I would say this is Christianity, so it's black and white. That's not the way to deal with Christianity, because this Christianity is the diversity of interpretations. It's the same with Islam.
When you talk about integration, what do you mean?
I'm even talking now about something which is a
beyond integration.
Exactly,
right.
Post-integration
right.
process. Integration for me at the beginning, this was a very progressive term and concept 30 years ago, when, you know, first generation settling down and try to be a good citizen and to keep your values and your principles. So now, if you look at something which is important, a good way of being integrated is three things, what I call the 3 L's. The first one is to abide by the law. The second is to speak the language of the country. And the third is loyalty to the country. When you get the 3 L's, you are part of the society. You look at the American Muslims, you look at the European Muslims, they get, and they have now these 3 L's, and they speak the language, they speak English, French, European languages,